Hi, hello everyone. Good morning, young minds. Welcome back to biology session. Hope all of you preparing well, all of you doing good, hard work in smart way. Welcome back to situation. Today our concept anatomy of flowering plants. Important chapter. We are expecting minimum 2 questions and maximum 3 questions from anatomy of flowering plants. Don't do neglect. Each and every mark also important. Single mark also decide your free medical seat. All of you inculcate these points in brain. Don't do neglect. Right. First, what is anatomy? It is a branch of biological science dealing with study of tissues, different types of tissues, internal arrangement of tissues, their shape, structure, location, function, everything. Study of all these things in a scientific manner, technical manner is termed as anatomy. Right? From this chapter, headlines. What are the important areas for NEET objective exam and set exam? First two, tissues. Types of tissues. Tissues are of two kinds, meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Then go through classification of meristematic tissues. Next, classification of permanent tissues. Right? After that, tissue systems. Tissue systems broadly are of three kinds. Epidermal tissue system, ground tissue system, and vascular tissue system. These three types of tissue systems important. Next, go through anatomy. Anatomy of dicot stem. TS of first TS of dicot root and TS of monocot root. Differences important. While reading, observe carefully diagrammatic representation of TS of dicot stem and TS of monocot stem. Next, TS of dicot root, TS of monocot root, TS of dicot leaf and TS of monocot leaf. Differences important. Mostly question paper setter prepare questions from differences. Hope you understood. Next, wood, types of wood, spring wood, atom wood, differences. Next, heartwood and sapwood, differences. Next, secondary growth. Formation of vascular cambium, function of vascular cambium. Next, formation of cork cambium and functions of cork cambium, important. Phellum, phellogen, phelloderm, periderm, four terms, differences, its meaning important. Next, secondary growth in dicot stems and secondary growth in dicot roots, two concepts important. Followed by a structure of diagrammatic representation of lenticel and bark, lenticel and bark. These are the main points, main areas that are very important for NEET objective exam and set exams. Clear? Right. Come back situation. First we discuss tissues. Tissues. As I told in previously many times, tissue, the term tissue defined as a group of cells that are common in origin, usually perform common function, is called tissue. Tissue broadly are of two kinds, based on whether cells divide or not divide. Meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Permanent tissues. Clear? Meristematic tissues again are of various kinds. Primary meristems, primary meristems, secondary meristems. Primary meristems and secondary meristems. Primary meristems means based on their origin. Based on their origin, meristematic tissues again are of two kinds, right? Next, primary meristems again are of two kinds. Based on location. Based on location. Apical meristems, intercalary meristems. Intercalary meristems. Apical meristems again are of two kinds. Shoot apical meristems and root apical meristems. Intercalary meristems, example grasses. Next, secondary meristems. Secondary meristems broadly are of three kinds. Fascicular, vascular cambium or intrafascicular cambium. Next, interfascicular cambium. Then cork cambium. Right. Tissues broadly are of two kinds. Whether tissues able to divide or not. Meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. First we discuss regarding meristematic tissues. According to Greek language, meristome means to divide. That means what? Cells or tissues which have the ability to divide and generate new cells are called meristematic cells or meristematic tissues. Again, based on its origin, meristematic tissues broadly are of two kinds: primary meristems and secondary meristems. Primary meristems present in primary stage of the plant, that means initial stage of the plant, whereas secondary meristems occurs in plant body after attainment of maturity. Plant develop secondary meristems. Then, based on its location, primary meristems again are of two kinds: apical meristems and intercalary meristems. Apical meristems present at tip of the shoot and tip of the root. Intercalary meristems, usually intercalary meristems located between permanent tissues. First example, grasses. Next, apical meristems again are of two kinds based on their location. Shoot apical meristems, here I wrote short form, try to understand. Shoot apical meristems and root apical meristems. Clear? Now first we study general characteristic features of meristematic tissues. General features. All meristematic tissues are able to divide and generate new cells. Each and every cell has specific nucleus, dense cytoplasm, large number of mitochondria and number of vacuoles also many. The size of the vacuole are small in size, but number of mitochondria more, 2 to many. Cell wall is made up of cellulose. All cells are closely packed without intercellular space. These are the general characteristic features of meristematic tissues. Clear? Then go through classification. First, primary meristems. Any plant, whether it is a dicot plant or monocot plant, what type of plant it is, each and every plant body basically made up of parenchyma. Parenchyma also a type of meristematic tissue, right? So primary meristems present in primary stage of the plant, initial stage of the plant. Clear? Next, primary meristems divide continuously by mitosis, generate new cells. So due to addition of new cells, the size of the plant grow in size. That is called primary growth. Next, based on its location, primary meristems again are of two kinds: apical meristems. Apical meristems. Apical means tip, shoot tip or root tip. This apical meristem, even in NCERT book, shoot apical meristem diagram, root apical meristem diagram clearly mentioned. Once go through diagrammatic representation of shoot apical meristem, LS of shoot apical meristem and LS of root apical meristem. Two diagrams important, right? NCERT book diagrams. Shoot apical meristems present at tip of the shoot. Meristematic cells divide continuously by mitosis and add new cells. Due to addition of new cells, the part of the stem grow in girth-wise, straight, vertical manner. Next, root apical meristem located at the tip of the root. Root apical meristematic cells also divide mitotically and generate new cells. So due to addition of new cells, the part of the root grow into deeper layers of soil between soil particles. Right? That is about root apical meristem. Next, intercalary meristems. Intercalary meristems present between permanent tissues. The best example, grasses, grass plants like paddy, jowar, bajra, maize and many other grass plants. Right? Go through diagrammatic representation, simple diagrammatic representation. Okay. So intercalary meristems located exactly below node, just below node. Generally, grazers graze grass. Later, grazed grass plants gives rise new branches and leaves. How it is possible? Due to the activity of intercalary meristems. Intercalary meristems. I wrote short form. IM means intercalary meristems. So, grazed grass plants again gives rise new branches and leaves. That is about intercalary meristems, its location, function, everything. That's all. Next, secondary meristems. Secondary meristems developed by the plant after attainment of maturity. Secondary meristems also called lateral meristems. Clear? Secondary meristems broadly are of three kinds. I wrote short form, try to understand. Fascicular vascular cambium, intrafascicular cambium. Okay, because fascicular vascular cambium also called intrafascicular cambium. Next, interfascicular cambium, then cork cambium, three types, out of which fascicular vascular cambium or intrafascicular cambium is primary in origin. Primary in origin. Fascicular vascular cambium or intrafascicular cambium, both are same. It is primary in origin, but it acts as secondary meristems. Okay. Hence, secondary meristems are partially primary and partially secondary. Partially primary and partially secondary. Clear? But interfascicular cambium and cork cambium, these two are completely lateral meristems. They also play a crucial role in secondary growth. Therefore, the size of the stem grow in girth-wise circumference. That is called secondary growth. Clear? One main point, remember, don't forget and don't confuse. Fascicular vascular cambium is primary in origin, but it acts as secondary meristematic tissue. It also play a crucial role in secondary growth. Okay, secondary growth of dicot stem. Hence, considerably, fascicular vascular cambium collectively grouped under secondary meristems. But interfascicular cambium and cork cambium, these two are purely lateral meristems. lateral meristems or secondary meristems, right? That is about meristematic tissues. You go through once NCERT book diagrams. Observe LS of shoot apical meristem and LS of root apical meristem. Their location. What are the parts in diagram? That also important. Next to permanent tissues. Permanent tissues. Tissues which lost the ability to divide are called permanent tissues. Broadly, permanent tissues are of two kinds based on its structure and function. Structure and function. Simple tissues and complex tissues. Complex tissues. Clear? First, simple tissues. Simple tissues are simple in structure, perform simple functions. Their structure, location, everything simple. Their function also very simple. Such tissues are called simple tissues. While complex tissues, the term complex itself explains its meaning. Complex tissues perform complex functions. Their structure also more complex in nature. Right? First, go through simple tissues. Simple tissues again broadly are of three kinds, namely parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Clear? First, parenchyma. What is parenchyma? Fundamental tissue. Parenchyma also called fundamental tissue, initial tissue of the plant. Right? It is living tissue. All cells are closely packed with a small intercellular space. With the conspicuous small intercellular space. Each cell has definite nucleus, dense cytoplasm, large amount of cytoplasm, large central vacuole, etc. Cell wall is made up of cellulose. Parenchyma performs several functions, right? Based on even in NCERT book diagram, parenchyma diagram given. Example, mesophyll tissue, leaf tissue. It is green in color. Perform photosynthesis. Living tissue, soft tissue, fundamental tissue. These are the another names of parenchyma, right? Parenchyma again are of two kinds based on its function. Food storage tissue, and erenchyma. Clear? Food storage tissue store food in various parts of the plant. In some plants, food stored in roots. Example, beetroot, carrot, sweet potato, turnip, etc. In some plants, food stored in stems. Example, desert plants, aloe vera, opuntia, cactus, pebble plants, etc. In some plants, food stored in buds or fruits, flowers, etc. Means different plant species store food material in the form of starch in different plant pots. That is about food storage tissues. All food storage tissues are basically made up of parenchyma tissue. Next one, erenchyma. Aero means air. Erenchyma tissue store air, mostly oxygen, nitrogen, etc. Erenchyma present in aquatic plants, hydrophytes. Example, water lily, water hyacinth, hydrilla, different types of algae plants, Phaeophyceae, Chlorophyceae, Rhodophyceae, different types of algae plants. This plant float on topmost layer of water. Thereby, leaf pod or filament, either leaf or filament float on top side. Thereby, sunlight directly fall on plant. Plants trap sunlight, means trap energy from sunlight in the form of photons, thereby perform photosynthesis. So for floating purpose, parenchyma very important, because parenchyma store air like oxygen, nitrogen, etc. Thereby some plant pods float on topmost layer of water. That phenomena is called buoyancy. Buoyancy. Okay. The phenomena is called buoyancy. Buoyancy means nothing but floating. So due to this reason, plant pods trap energy from sunlight and perform photosynthesis. That is the importance of parenchyma. Next, go through collenchyma. Collenchyma, a living mechanical tissue. In NCERT book clearly mentioned parenchyma diagram characters, general characters. Collenchyma diagram pods and general characters. Even sclerenchyma diagrams, general characters. All of you go through NCERT lines. At the same time, while reading NCERT lines, observe diagrammatic representation. Study diagrammatic representation also. See what is the shape of the diagram, what is the name of the diagram, what are the pods in diagram, what are the functions of pods. These are the main areas you should need and focus on these areas, right? Collenchyma, a living mechanical tissue. It is perform dual functions. On one hand, it provides physical support to the weak stemmed plants, side branches, leaf petiole, etc. On the other hand, collenchyma also perform photosynthesis. Each and every collenchyma cell has large central vacuole and peripherally located cytoplasm and nucleus, right? Cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin deposited in collenchyma. Very important. Cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin. Cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin deposited at cell corners, particularly at cell corners. Due to this reason, it is a type of living mechanical tissue. Due to heavy winds, leaf flutter in all directions. Leaf flutter in all directions. Thereby, leaf gets cool. The movement of leaf is dependent on collenchyma tissue. Another example, tall trees like eucalyptus, Sequoia sempervirens, a gymnosperm plant. These plants are very tall, more than 100 meters height. More than 100 meters height. These plants bend towards right or towards left due to heavy winds. Due to heavy winds. This flexible movement of the plant depend on collenchyma tissue. Clear? Next, I am expecting question based on what is the cell wall material in collenchyma tissue and the functions of collenchyma tissue. Similarly, parenchyma tissues also. Then sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma, dead tissue due to lack of protoplasm. The sclerenchyma cell wall is made up of lignin. Cell wall is made up of lignin, called lignified cell walls. Due to its lignin, they became dead and provide physical support to the various parts of the plant. Sclerenchyma again are of two kinds, fibers and sclerites. Fibers and sclerites. Fibers are long, narrow, slender, tubular structures having narrow lumen, having tapering ends. Cell wall is made up of lignin, therefore it is more strong and rigidity. Next, sclerites. Sclerites are rectangle shape, rectangle or cuboid shape. It's present in pulp of fruit, a leaf of tea leaf, okay, and nuts. Nuts example, nuts of legumes, groundnut, cashew nut, etc. Okay. Fruit pulp example, sapota, custard, apple, strawberry, etc. That is the location of sclerites, a part of sclerenchyma. They became dead but provide physical support to the various parts of the plant. Okay, that is about simple tissues. Next, go to complex tissues. complex tissues, they perform complex function. Complex tissues again are of two kinds, xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloem. Xylem performs water conduction. It plays a crucial role in translocation of water from root to tip of the shoot over several meters height. Xylem include four elements. It includes four elements, namely fibers, tracheids, vessels, and parenchyma. Clear? Xylem fibers, out of which fibers dead, tracheids also dead, vessels also dead, but parenchyma is living tissue. Out of four elements, three elements are dead due to lack of protoplasm. What is protoplasm? The combination of nucleus and cytoplasm is called protoplasm. Due to lack of protoplasm, xylem fibers, tracheids and vessels dead, but parenchyma is living tissue. Go through once its role, function. Fibers diagram given in NCERT. Xylem fibers are highly elongated, having narrow lumen and contain tapering ends, narrow ends. Cell wall is made up of lignin. They provide physical support to the various parts of the plant. That's all. Next, tracheids also very long, narrow, having tapering ends, narrow lumen. They play a crucial role in water conduction with force. Okay, not only water, along with the water, minerals, nutrients, small amount of amino acids and phytohormones also translocated over several meters of height. That is the function of tracheids. And vessels, tracheids diagram also clearly given in NCERT. So dear students, once observe carefully diagrammatic representation. Don't forget, don't do neglect. And vessels are dead due to lack of protoplasm, and vessels having wider lumen. It has wider lumen and it translocate bulk amount of water. Along with water, minerals, nutrients, small amount of amino acids and phytohormones like auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins. These types of phytohormones also translocated from root to tip of the shoot over several meters height. Clear? Cell wall is made up of lignin. Fibers, tracheids and vessels. Cell wall is mainly made up of lignin. Such wall is called lignified cell wall. Special character. It is very strong in nature and rigidity. Xylem parenchyma, a living tissue. Cell wall is made up of cellulose. Xylem parenchyma store food material. Right? That is about xylem. Okay. Next, phloem. Phloem include four elements. Bast fibers, companion cells, sieve tubes, and parenchyma. That's it. Look here. Like xylem, phloem also contain four elements, four components such as bast fibers, because phloem also called bast, hence phloem fibers also called bast fibers. Companion cells, sieve tubes and parenchyma, out of which bast fibers are dead. They became dead like xylem fibers due to lack of protoplasm. But companion cells, sieve tubes and parenchyma are living tissues. First, go through bast fibers. Bast fibers are dead due to lack of protoplasm. Though they were dead, but they have more economic importance, costliest fibers, because bast fibers widely using in preparation of gunny bags, doormats, and ropes, etc. Best fibers example: jute, sunham, aloe vera, etc. Next, companion cells or living cells. Each and every companion cell has definite nucleus, dense cytoplasm. Cell wall is made up of cellulose. Companion cells closely connected with sieve tubes. Sieve tubes are anucleated. Anucleated means nucleus is absent in sieve tubes. Therefore, sieve tubes function under the guidance of companion cells. That is the reason companion cells are closely connected with the sieve tubes. They make deep association with the sieve tubes. Sieve tubes function translocation of food material from source to sink. Source to sink. Movement of food from source to sink, that is active transport, active process, require metabolic energy in the form of ATP. Clear? Next, parenchyma, a living tissue, soft tissue, store food material. Cell wall is made up of cellulose. All cells are closely packed with conspicuous. Conspicuous means visible clearly, with a conspicuous small intercellular space. That's all. One main point in pteridophytes and gymnosperms. Pteridophytes and gymnosperms, xylem vagels absent, companion cells and sieve tubes are absent. In both pteridophytes and gymnosperms, vagels absent, companion cells and sieve tubes also absent. But in angiosperms, all are present. All 4 xylem elements and all 4 phloem elements present. That is difference between xylem and, that means gymnosperms and angiosperms. One more point. Instead of companion cells, albuminous cells present in gymnosperms. Similarly, instead of sieve tubes, sieve cells were present in gymnosperms. Difference between gymnosperms and angiosperms. Okay, important points. I am expecting one question compulsorily from this area. Okay, in NCERT book, xylem elements, phloem elements, diagrams clearly mentioned. Once go through diagrammatic representation. Next, tissue system. Tissue system. A group of tissues together organize tissue systems. Tissue systems broadly are of three kinds. Namely, epidermal tissue system, ground tissue system, and vascular tissue system. 3 types. I wrote short form, try to understand. ETS stands for epidermal tissue system. GTS stands for ground tissue system and vascular tissue system. First go through ETS, epidermal tissue system. Epidermal tissue system. It is also called dermal tissue system. Derma means skin, outermost layer. It is common in root, stem and leaf. Root, stem and leaf. Root, stem and leaf. First go through root. Root is underground part of the stem. In root, outermost layer means epidermis is made up of one cell thick. All cells are closely packed. The shape of the cell is barrel shape or rectangular shape. Some epidermal cells gives rise root hairs. It gives rise root hairs. Root hairs are unicellular. Make direct contact with surrounding soil particles. Clear? Root hairs absorb bulk amount of water and minerals. That is about epidermal tissue system in root. Next, stem. Stem, aerial part. In stem, epidermis. Epidermis contain large number of fine hairs called trichomes. Take an example, vegetable plants like tomato, brinjal, bendi, ladyfinger, etc. Stem on the outer side covered with a large number of whitish hair called trichomes. Trichomes also called stem hair. Trichomes are either multicellular or unicellular. Trichomes function important. Trichomes minimize water loss by transpiration. On the other hand, trichomes also play a crucial role in protection. Trichomes protect the stems or leaves from bacterial, viral, fungal infections, even insects and pests also, right? That is about trichomes. Next, leaf. If you take any leaf, dicot leaf or monocot leaf, upper epidermis and lower epidermis, that means adaxial epidermis and abaxial epidermis is made up of epidermis. Epidermal cells are closely packed. The shape of the cell is barrel shape or rectangular shape. Okay, stomata, large number of stomata present on either sides of the leaf. When we discuss about dicot leaf or dorsiventral leaf, number of stomata are less on dorsal side but more on ventral side. Okay, and in case of isobilateral leaf, that means monocot leaf, number of stomata remain nearly same, not exactly, nearly same on either sides of the leaf. Roughly go through once stomata in dicot leaf, structure of stomata in dicot leaf, structure of stomata in monocot leaf. But concepts also very important. Leaf concepts also very important. The shape of guard cell is bean shaped. Bean shaped guard cells present in dicot leaf stomata, and dumbbell shaped guard cells present in monocot leaf, that means isobilateral leaf. While studying, observe carefully stomata, structure of stomata, what are the parts of stomata. Basically, stomata made up of three different types of cells: guard cells, subsidiary cells and epidermal cells. Guard cells, subsidiary cells and epidermal cells. Guard cells closely arranged around stomatal aperture. They play a crucial role in opening and closing position of the stomata, right? Okay, that is about leaf. So epidermal tissue system, it is common in all parts of the plant: root, stem and leaf. That's it. Next, ground tissue system. It is also called fundamental tissue system. FTS, fundamental tissue system. Except that means what? All tissues are made up of ground tissue system except epidermal tissues and vascular tissues. So ground tissue system include hypodermis, cortex, endodermis, pericycle, and pith or medulla. These all tissues collectively comes under ground tissue system or fundamental tissue system. So all the tissues except epidermal tissues and vascular tissues, rest of the all tissues collectively called ground tissue system. Hypodermis, it is located just below epidermis. Below hypodermis, next cortex. Below cortex, endodermis. Below endodermis, pericycle. Below pericycle, pith also called medulla. It is center core of the root or stem. Center part of the stem or root filled with pith or medulla. The combination of these all tissues together called ground tissue system. Next one, vascular tissue system. vascular tissue system. Important. It includes various types of vascular bundles. Phloem, xylem. It is xylem. Phloem, cambium, and xylem. Next to cambium, xylem. See, phloem, cambium. This is also cambium, phloem, xylem. Right? Next to radial vascular bundle. Radial vascular bundle. Xylem, phloem. P for phloem, 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 phloem. It is xylem, 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 xylem. Okay, right. First one, conjoint, collateral, closed vascular bundle. Next one, conjoint, collateral, open vascular bundle. Next, bicollateral vascular bundle. Bicollateral vascular bundle. Next, radial vascular bundle. Radial vascular bundle. 4 types. Conjoint means phloem tissue and xylem tissue attach with each other, join with each other, called conjoint. Collateral means phloem. Right. Topic continuation. Just now I told conjoint means phloem tissue and xylem tissue arranged side by side and join with each other. That is called conjoint. Collateral means phloem tissue and xylem tissue arranged side by side. Lateral means side. Closed means cambium absent. Cambium is absent between phloem and xylem. That phenomena is called closed vascular bundle. So conjoint closed vascular bundles. It is common in monocots. Best example, monocots. Right? Next, I wrote short form, conjoint, collateral, open vascular bundle. Same meaning. Conjoint means phloem and xylem join with each other. Collateral arranged side by side. Open means cambium. C for cambium. Cambium present between phloem and xylem. That phenomena is called open vascular bundle. It is common in dicots. Dicot, stem and roots. Dicot, stem and roots. But in dicot leaves, cambium absent. Therefore, secondary growth also absent. Next, bicollateral vascular bundle. Bi means two. Collateral means two phloem patches. Remember, P for phloem, C for cambium. X for xylem. 2 phloem patches, 2 cambium patches present on either sides of the leaf. Either sides of the leaf. Such type of vascular bundle is called bicollateral vascular bundle. Example, Cucurbitaceae members. Cucurbitaceae family members. It includes watermelon, muskmelon, bottle gourd, bitter gourd, ridge gourd, etc. Next, radial vascular bundle. Phloem patch alternates xylem patch. Similarly, xylem patch also alternates phloem patch. The type of arrangement of xylem and phloem patches in a vascular bundle is called radial vascular bundle. Example, roots. Common example, roots. Both dicot and monocot roots. Both dicot and monocot roots. That is about vascular tissue system. Clear? Understood now? Okay. Next to go through anatomy. I am expecting at least one question compulsorily based on different types of vascular bundles, their meaning and examples. Right? Next to anatomy of dicot root. Anatomy of dicot root. First TS. See, topic continuation. Anatomy of TS of dicot root. In NCERT book, one diagram clearly given: transverse section of dicot root and transverse section of monocot root. Because here we are unable to draw total diagrams due to lack of time. We have very limited time. Try to understand my feelings. Clear? It is a crash course, short-term coaching. Okay. So dicot root diagram important. So while reading paragraph lines, at the same time observe diagrammatic representation. Don't forget. Right? Observe what are the different layers. First outermost layer epidermis, below epidermis cortex, below cortex endodermis, below endodermis next pericycle, below pericycle xylem and phloem tissues. At center core pith or medulla. These are the different types of tissues and their arrangement in transverse section of dicot root. Okay. But what type of questions and frequently asking from this area means differences between dicot root and monocot root. Dicot root and monocot root. Dicot root and monocot root. Differences very important. Clear? First difference. Cambium, sorry, not cambium, cortex is narrower. Cortex is narrower in dicot root, but wider in monocot root. Next, number of xylem and phloem patches 2 to 4 patches. Number of xylem and phloem patches more than 6. That is called polyarch. It is also called polyarch. Okay. Next, some other differences. In dicot root, endodermis. Endodermis contain Casparian strips. Casparian strips. Okay. But in monocot root, Casparian strips are absent. These are some major differences between dicot root and monocot root. Mostly question paper setter prepare questions from differences between dicot root and monocot root. So all of you concentrate on this area. Cortex is narrower in dicot root but wider in monocot root. Number of xylem and phloem patches 2 to 4 patches. 2 means diarch, 4 means tetrarch. tetrarch. Okay. In monocot root, number of xylem and phloem patches more than 6. That is called polyarch. Polyarch means many patches. That's all. Next, endodermis contain Caspary strips. Caspary strips are made up of suberin. It is a waxy material, impervious to water. It won't allow water across it. Due to presence of Caspary strips, apoplast pathway eventually turn into symplast pathway at endodermis particularly. Okay, apoplast, you know well what is apoplast pathway, what is symplast pathway. This topic is already covered in transport in plants. Hence, apoplast pathway eventually turn into symplast pathway at endodermis. But Caspary strips are completely absent in monocot root. That's all. These are difference between TS of dicot root and monocot root. Next to TS of dicot stem and monocot stem. TS of dicot stem and monocot stem. Important. TS of dicot stem and monocot stem. Just now I told all of you observe carefully diagrammatic appendation of dicot stem and monocot stem. Differences, different types of tissues and their arrangement. That also very, very important, my dear students. Okay. Yeah. Now first point, in dicot stem, number of vascular bundles 15 to 20. In monocot stem, number of vascular bundles are many. Second difference, in dicot stem, all vascular bundles radially arranged. But in monocot stem, all vascular bundles are scattered, irregularly scattered. That's all. Next to cortex. Cortex is made up of 3 different types of tissues: hypodermis, collenchyma, and a parenchyma. Clear? These 3 types of tissues called cortex. But in monocot stems, cortex, endodermis, pericycle, and pith. These are all absent. Instead that ground tissue is present. Understood now? Okay. But here ground tissue is absent. GT means ground tissue, short form, absent. These are the major difference between dicot stem and monocot stem. See, number of vascular bundles 15 to 20. In monocot stems, many. All vascular bundles are radially arranged in a particular pattern, in particular fashion. But in monocot stems, all vascular bundles are irregularly scattered. Next, cortex include 3 different types of tissues: hypodermis, collenchyma, and parenchyma in dicot stem. But in monocot stem, cortex absent, endodermis absent, pericycle and pith also absent. Instead that ground tissue is present, right? But ground tissue is absent in dicot stem. Next, vascular bundles. Only one type of vascular bundles present in dicot stem. Two types of vascular bundles present in monocot stems. Only one type means all vascular bundles are same in size in dicot stem. But in monocot stem, two types: small vascular bundles, large vascular bundles. Peripheral vascular bundles, central vascular bundles. Peripheral vascular bundles are small in size, whereas central vascular bundles are large in size. Two types. Okay. In monocot stems, in parenchyma, particularly phloem, in phloem parenchyma is absent. Phloem parenchyma is absent, but phloem parenchyma present in dicot stems. These are the major difference between dicot stem and monocot stem. Clear? Next to go through leaf, dicot leaf and monocot leaf. Dicot leaf and monocot leaf. This topic is already covered even at school level. Yes or no? School level also it was covered. Dicot leaf and monocot leaf. Yeah. Differences. Observe dicot leaf diagram and monocot leaf diagram. Observe what are the parts in diagram. Then go through differences. Right? In dicot leaf, size of vascular bundle. The size of vascular bundle is small. Size of vascular bundle is small. But in monocot leaf, big. Okay. Next to mesophyll tissue. Mesophyll tissue differentiate into palisade and spongy. Spongy parenchyma. But here this type of differentiation is absent. Clear? In dicot leaf, on either sides of the vascular bundle, it is covered with collenchyma tissue. Collenchyma tissue. But in monocot leaf, on either sides of the vascular bundle, sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma tissue is present on either sides of the vascular bundle. Number of vascular bundles. Number of vascular bundles are limited in dicot leaf, but more in monocot leaf. That's all. Some difference between dicot leaf and monocot leaf. The size of vascular bundle is small in dicot leaf, but very big in monocot leaf. Mesophyll tissue differentiate into palisade parenchyma and spongy parenchyma. Palisade parenchyma located towards upper epidermis, adaxial epidermis, and spongy parenchyma located towards lower side, abaxial epidermis. Next, but this type of differentiation absent in monocot leaf. Okay. Next, collenchyma. In dicot leaf, vascular bundle on the upper and lower side cover with collenchyma tissue. But in monocot leaf, vascular bundle is covered with sclerenchyma tissue. Number of vascular bundles are limited in dicot leaf, but more in monocot leaf. One more, some other doubt, some other characters, differences. Number of stomata are less on dorsal side, but more on ventral side in dicot leaf. Hence, it is called dorsiventral leaf. But in monocot leaf, number of stomata nearly same, not exactly, nearly same on either sides of the leaf. Such leaf is called isobilateral leaf. One more main point. Bulliform cells. bulliform cells are absent, but here present. Particularly upper epidermis. Upper epidermis. That's all. Bulliform cells are large in size, empty and colorless. That helps in folding, unfolding position of the leaf. But bulliform cells absent in dicot leaf, whereas present in monocot leaf, particularly upper epidermis. But on lower epidermis, bulliform cells again absent. Bulliform cells are large in size, empty, colorless. When water level is low in plant body, bulliform cells flaccid, okay, shrunken, and that helps in inward folding of the leaf. Inward folding of leaf. When water is available in plant body, then bulliform cells bulge in size, turgid, that helps in opening position of the leaf. Therefore, the part of lamina exposed towards sunlight and fall sunlight perform photosynthesis. These are the main difference between dicot leaf and monocot leaf. Clear? Next to next concept, wood. Wood are of two kinds: spring wood, atom wood. Spring wood and atom wood. Differences: spring wood, atom wood. Differences. I am expecting one question compulsorily from differences, right? Spring wood developed in the plant during spring season. Atom wood developed in the plant during autumn season. There are several seasons in a year: spring season, autumn season, rainy season, summer season, winter season, etc. Okay. Vascular cambium more active during summer season. During spring season. And vascular cambium less active in autumn season, right? So due to its more activity, vascular cambium produce a large amount of wood in spring season. So spring wood is wider and lighter in color, whereas atom wood is narrower and dark in color. Spring wood is soft wood, store food material, reserve food material, whereas atom wood is dead. Okay, and it is due to lack of protoplasm, it became dead. Wood is made up of lignin. These are some difference between spring wood and atom wood. Next to dendrochronology. Dendrochronology means it's a branch of biological science dealing with the estimation of age of tree, based on counting annual rings. One annual ring equals to, spring wood, atom wood. Okay, again spring wood, atom wood. Red color atom wood and black color spring wood. I will short form, try to understand. AW means atom wood, SW means spring wood. One spring wood, one atom wood equals to one annual ring. So by counting annual rings, we easily estimate the age of tree, like tamarind tree, neem tree, banyan tree, or any other trees. That's all. That is about dendrochronology and difference between spring wood and atom wood. Followed by heartwood and sapwood. Next concept, heartwood. and sapwood. Important differences. Last year 2020 NEET update exam, one question asked from differences between heartwood and sapwood. Heartwood is dead wood. Sapwood is living wood. Heartwood deposited with resins, gums, oils, essential oils, and some other secondary metabolites. So due to deposition of resins, gums, oils, essential oils, heartwood is more strong in nature, and it has more durability, more life, more lifespan. Hence heartwood also called duramen. Sapwood also called alburnum. Right? Understood now? I forgot one point. Springwood also called early wood. Atomwood also called late wood. One difference. Similarly, heartwood also called duramen and sapwood also called alburnum. Duramen means it has more durability, more lifespan. Even no insect, no bacteria, virus, fungus damage wood due to deposition of resins, gums, oils, essential oils, etc. Right? But these are all absent in sapwood. And heartwood main function physical support. They provide physical support to the various parts of the plant. Whereas sapwood, its main function translocation of water and minerals from root to leaf. That's all. These are the major difference between heartwood and sapwood. Hope you understood. Next, secondary growth. Important concepts. Secondary growth. I am expecting at least one or two questions compulsorily from secondary growth in dicot root and secondary growth in monocot root. Sorry, not monocot root. Secondary growth in dicot root and dicot stem. That's all. This topic include vascular cambium. Vascular cambium is basically made up of two types of tissues, namely fascicular or vascular cambium and interfascicular cambium. Okay. In NCERT book, total 4 diagrams given. All of you practice 4 diagrams and study carefully all 4 diagrams. Okay. See, vascular cambium, vascular bundles. This is fascicular vesicular cambium. Right? Next. Interfascicular cambium. Fascicular vascular cambium, also called intrafascicular cambium. Intrafascicular cambium. Clear? Hence, fascicular or vascular cambium present inside the vascular bundle, whereas interfascicular cambium present between vascular bundles. Means it is called inter. Then these two vascular cambium join with each other to form complete ring. That is called vascular cambium. See, fascicular vascular cambium and interfascicular cambium combined to form vascular cambium. VC stands for vascular cambium, right? Then vascular cambium more active towards inner side and less active towards outer side. More active towards inner side and less active towards outer side. It produces secondary phloem towards outer side and secondary xylem towards inner side. Due to continuous deposition of secondary xylem towards center, pith and primary xylem replaced by secondary xylem. Okay, so look here, both pith and primary xylem replaced by secondary xylem. Even due to addition of secondary xylem towards center, it exerts pressure towards outer side. Therefore, secondary phloem and primary phloem both were crushed between epidermis and secondary xylem. Okay, so gradually the size of the stem increase in girth-wise. That is called secondary growth. Example, dicot stems. Clear? Vascular cambium, very important. Don't forget. Next one, cork cambium. In NCERT book, 4 diagrams given. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. All 4 steps are there. Observe and study carefully all 4 steps. Don't forget. Next to cork cambium. Usually, cork cambium derived from cortex. According to de-differentiation, you may heard 3 terms: differentiation, de-differentiation and re-differentiation in previous chapter, plant growth and development. De-differentiation means what? Some permanent cells regain the power of meristematic activity and gives rise meristems. Such phenomena is called de-differentiation. According to de-differentiation, some cortical cells regain the power of meristematic activity to form cork cambium. And it is also called phellogen. Clear? Phellogen technical term, cork cambium common name. Roughly go through diagrammatic representation. This is TS of stem, TS of dicot stem. Cork cambium. Even cork cambium also more active. That means active towards outer and inner. Towards inner, it produces secondary cortex. Towards outer, it produces epidermis. Secondary cortex also called phelloderm. Clear? Right. Once I repeat, listen carefully. Cork cambium, a type of meristematic tissue. Cork cambium also called phellogen. Cork cambium origin from cortex. Some cortical cells regain the power of meristematic activity that forms cork cambium. Cork cambium cells divide mitotically and generate new cells towards inner and towards outer. Towards inner, secondary cortex. Secondary cortex also called phelloderm. Towards outer, epidermis. That's all. So due to the activity of cork cambium and vascular cambium, the size of the stem increase in girth wise. That is called secondary cortex. That is called secondary growth. Clear? That's all. Some technical terms and their common names. Also important. You don't confuse. Definitely question paper setter prepare on this. Prepare questions from this area. Phellum, phellogen, phelloderm, and periderm. derm. Four terms, its meaning important. Phellum. Phellum means cork. Cork is made up of suberin, dead layer. Next, phellogen, same, cork cambium. Cork cambium. Phelloderm means secondary cortex. And the combination of these three layers called periderm. That is equals to bark. That is equals to bark. Clear? Phellum. If you observe carefully, these four terms are nearly same. Phellum, phellogen, phelloderm, periderm. But their common name important, their difference also important. Don't confuse. Phellum, cork, outermost layer. It is made up of suberin, a type of dead layer. Phellogen, cork cambium, a type of meristematic tissue. And phelloderm means secondary cortex. Secondary cortex origin from cork cambium. Next, periderm means the combination of phellum, phellogen and phelloderm together called periderm. Periderm also called bark. Bark are of two kinds: early bark, late bark. Early bark, late bark, two types. A bark which is formed early in the season called early bark. Next, bark which is formed at end of the season. At the end of the season is called late bark. That's all. Next, bark means all the tissues exterior to vascular cambium. Exterior means outer side. Exterior to vascular cambium called bark. That means what? First go through outer to inner side. Epidermis, hypodermis, cortex, endodermis, pericycle. Okay, up to pericycle, this and all, even primary phloem, secondary phloem also comes under bark. That means what? All the tissues exterior to vascular cambium is called bark. One very important neat objective question. Bark are of two kinds, early bark and late bark. That's it. Next, last concept, companion cells. Lenticell. In NCERT book, lenticell diagram also clearly mentioned. Lenticell diagram. Observe lenticell diagram and study carefully what are the parts in lenticell diagram. Right? Lenticell diagram. NCERT book diagram. Epidermis. Okay. This is phellum. Epidermis. Phellum. Next to phellogen, complementary cells, This lens-like opening is there now. Lens-like opening is called lenticell. Okay. Next to inner tissues called secondary cortex. This is called secondary cortex. This is also called phelloderm. That's all. I done here rough diagram, lenticell diagram. Epidermis, below epidermis, next layer, phellum. Phellum means cork. Below phellum, phellogen. Phellogen means cork cambium, a type of meristematic tissue, and generate new cells towards outer and towards inner. Towards outer, epidermal cells. Towards inner, secondary cortex. Remember, secondary cortex also called phelloderm. That's all. and it include large number of cells called complementary cells. Lens-like opening is called lenticule. Lenticule play a crucial role in exchange of gases. It is commonly present in epidermis, means stems, on the surface of the stems and roots. Roots example, aerial roots, pneumatophores, mangrove plants. Stems example, all types of strong wood stems, neem tree, tamarind tree, etc. Right? That's it. And the very last concept, secondary growth in dicot root. Secondary growth in dicot root. In NCERT book, 4 diagrams given, 1, 2, 3, 4, order wise. All of you observe all 4 diagrams and observe changes between first step, second step, third step and fourth step. One main point in secondary growth of dicot root, vascular cambium is completely secondary in origin. Completely secondary in origin in case of root. But in stem, vascular cambium is partially primary and partially secondary. Because vascular cambium is primary in origin and intervascular cambium is secondary in origin. Therefore, vascular cambium is partially primary and partially secondary in case of stem. But in case of root, vascular cambium is completely secondary in origin. That is origin from pericycle and phloem tissues. That's all. These are the main points covered from anatomy of flowering plants. I am expecting minimum 2 questions and maximum 3 questions from this chapter. All of you watch this video properly, try to understand the concepts, then immediately practice, means read NCERT lines, go through objective questions. Thank you very much. Prepare well. Have a nice day.